Our first encounter with refugees was a number of years ago when we first heard about the crisis in Syria. I have some family close to our heart that actually came from Lebanon and Syria. When we heard about this crisis and heard about the Syrian folks that were coming in tens of thousands and then millions, our hearts really began to break. So we came in contact with World Relief, and through a number of meetings and a lot of questions that we had about the process, we were able to host one of the first Syrian families that came into Seattle, and it was a fantastic experience. We were blessed in a lot of different ways from that experience and from the family that we were able to serve. It's really neat. We were able to serve as a host family. They had 5 small children, and we have 5 children of our own, and so the kids right away were able to play and engage. Even though they didn't speak English, they knew very, very little English. We were able to have a translator come over and help begin to foster conversation. We went in hoping to serve and bless them, and really we were the benefactor of them blessing us in many ways. Even though they didn't have much to offer, even going over and talking to them, she would want us to come in and sit down and have some tea or whatever they could prepare, whatever means they had, they wanted to be able to demonstrate their thankfulness and their gratitude to us as a family, which was really sweet and special. Obviously, we have a lot of questions in Christian culture about refugees, about the Muslim faith, about how they perceive us as Christians and Americans. And so, we were curious and we had a lot of those questions. And so through the translator, we sat down one night and I really asked some very direct questions. What do you believe about Christians? How do you view us? How do you view our culture and us as Christians? Do you hate us? Like, we hear all of these things in culture and media. And so I asked very direct questions, and it was pretty amazing. He actually got teared up, and he looked over at me and he put his arm out next to mine and he said, through the translator, "Stephen, I would hope that if this ever happened to you and your family, that we would provide the same level of care to you that you have shown to us." And that said a lot, because obviously we believe very differently about God. Yet there was a father here who basically escaped through the night with his family to go to find a place that was safe because they could not return to their home. And we don't have a construct for that. I can't imagine my children being in that situation and what I would do as a father to care for them and to do that. There was great times of playing volleyball outside and kicking a soccer ball around and just neat sort of camaraderie, but those were really special times for me. We took this Syrian family in at a very tumultuous time politically. So to see our little girls sitting and playing together and talking and not worrying about any of that stuff was amazing. How do you serve these people when they come? A lot of them have come from a very difficult and stressful situation, and they just want to know that they're in a place that's safe, that their needs are going to be met, and that they're loved and cared for. It was more just being together and having some things around the house that we could do. So we were able to talk about meals and food preparation and all kinds of stuff to try to get them to engage. So I would just say, have a heart to be willing to take yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit and walk down that road with them. Go out and look at some of the beautiful things that we have here in the Northwest, whether it's go on a hike or do some things. I think we benefit a great deal. There's a couple big theological reasons that I think as a believer, but one, it prepares us for heaven in a very real sense. Every tribe and every tongue will one day sit before the throne of God, and we will be gathered together, and it will not look like it does in our churches. I think it's really good for us to understand that American culture is only so old. Yet humanity has been around for thousands and thousands of years, and there's a great deal that we can learn from other cultures, from other people, from stylistic things that they do to food that they eat and preferences that they have there. There's a great deal that we can learn from them. I think it also solidifies for us the essence of what our faith really is supposed to be. Christ told us very specifically, Matthew 25, how you treat the least of these is how you have treated me. And so we're the most theologically educated and precise generation that's ever lived, and yet we're practically devoid of applying that theology when it comes to those that are in the most need, that need to have the love of Christ demonstrated to them. And so for me, that's really the heartbeat of our family and what we wanted to embrace, both my wife and myself, but also model and demonstrate for our children. Because at the end of the day, if we're not willing to love the least of those this way, Jesus said, you're not worthy of me. We want to be faithful to Him first and foremost, and also serve our country well, be good citizens, obviously encourage the vetting process and making sure that people are safe. But at the end of the day, we as Christians really should be running to the front lines of this, embracing them with every means that we have to provide and to care for them and demonstrate the love of Christ to them.